put this to rest, ladies and gentlemen, can we put it to rest? Erica Kirk said that she believed they have a great team in Kesh Patel and the FBI. She believed that Tyler Robinson killed her husband. And at his memorial service, she said she forgive him.
But first, we are going to look at Mr. Officer Tatum. And by the way, if you guys did not know, Officer Tatum and Candace Owens are actually co-founders of a nonprofit together. You guys may not have known that, but they actually co-founded the Blexit movement. Also, what we're going to talk about is some unbelievable seeming corruption at TPUSA. Okay? Because a guy did a forensic accounting, and I'm just getting started on this thing, but it's crazy. What these guys found is like, Jesus, that was legal. Have you guys seen what Charlie Kirk's house looked like, by the way? Yeah, that's his house right there. Okay? How crazy is that? Look at that thing, dude. Look at that. So, yeah, we're going to take a look at how he most likely was paying for that enormous mansion that he was living in, because, wow. He was apparently getting a fair amount of money out of that TPUSA thing. But we're going to look at who else was getting money out of there and then start speculating about how other people might have been getting money out of there, given the fact that he called for an audit and all of a sudden it's like, we got to turn his lights out. Someone needs to turn his lights out, right? But anyway, so let's go over here and let's get with Officer Tatum first, and let's see what he had to say about Candace Owens, and then we're going to get into the other stuff.
Can you shut the front door about all these conspiracies around Charlie Kirk's death? She said it out of her own mouth. If you don't know anything about investigations, the FBI will disclose their findings to the spouse, to the next of kin. She knows what evidence they have and what they don't have. Can you shut up until the trial?
Channel.
Can we put this to rest, ladies and gentlemen? Can we put it to rest? Erica Kirk said that she believed they have a great team in Kesh Patel and the FBI. She believed that Tyler Robinson killed her husband. And at his memorial service, she said she forgive him. Let me say this again else. If you want to evaluate who is being reasonable in this, who's not being reasonable, who's acting in good faith and who's not acting in good faith. If you fix your mouth to say that you cared about Charlie Kirk at all, I don't care if you claim you were his best friend or you claim that you liked him from watching him on social media, you went to a debate, whatever. If you make the claim that you actually care about Charlie Kirk, there's a truth and a lie to it. You either care or you really don't. If you say you care, this is how you know somebody really don't care. Why would you hurt people he loved? Do you not think that Charlie loved Mikey McCoy?
He might have, but like, I think the people who are asking questions about Mikey McCoy think that maybe Mikey McCoy did something dastardly. And if you look at Mikey McCoy's interview, where he's like, then I had to call Erica. I'm like, this is either a person who's talking about a person who's still alive, or this is a person who is pretending to be sad. And actually, in both cases, it looks to be a person pretending to be sad. So, and they also behave very bizarrely at the time. I mean, like, there was a camera on them. People are asking questions.
His what they call deputy director or whatever you call him, chief of staff, his right-hand man. He went everywhere with Mikey. I never saw Charlie without Mikey for like the last 6 years. If Charlie was alive, do you think he'll be okay with somebody getting Mikey death threats? What world are we living in?
I hope nobody's giving death threats to anybody, just for the record, right? And you guys know my investigation is not even pointed at any of those guys. I've been looking at Lance, okay? I've been looking at Lance Twiggs, who was erased out of the People Finder and who also seems to have been very proficient with weapons and who also stabbed his own, well, I don't know about stab, attacked his own grandma with a knife and got kicked out of the family. And also was scribbling things all over the place all the time. similar to, it sounds like someone scribbled some things onto the blitz, you know? And also someone who maybe Tyler Robinson would take the rap for or have conspired with. But certainly not a person who would have not known anything about a forthcoming assassination on one of the most visible people in the world if it was his live-in boyfriend who was going to do it. So, not to mention Sky Valdez, who said Charlie Kirk would be dead at 31, and also said that, I'm sure it was one of the people who posted on the internet that September 10th something was going to happen, but definitely posted a drawing of a prone shooter on a roof and posted it on the internet that same day that they posted Charlie Kirk dead at 31. Coincidence, I'm sure.
Living in, bruh. You think that Charlie Kirk would want you to be bashing Turning Point USA? To be criticizing Turning Point USA to the point in which they become illegitimate? Do you think Charlie Kirk, if he was still alive, would be okay with somebody saying they're going to destroy Turning Point USA?
I've been saying this from the beginning. I'm aligned with him on this, actually.
Hey. Or they're effing Turning Point USA. You think Charlie would be okay with that? If you claim you love Charlie, you would not hurt the people he loved. You would not hurt them. And if you claim to love Charlie, your loyalty will be in the area that he was loyal to.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of work to edit that, you know what I mean? But what I do want to show you is the TPUSA stuff, all right? So, hey, would you want, do you want to go after TP? It's like, no, I don't, but I'm also not going to know what I know here from this forensic account, and not put it on my channel, right? So let me show you some of the stuff that is in this story. This is a forensic accountant who's talking about what he found inside of the TPUSA IRS documents that anyone could have downloaded, but he's a forensic accountant.
That's all we hear about. But as you start digging into the IRS files, you find out there's 3 more nonprofits. There's Turning Point Action, there's America's Turning Point, and then there's Turning Point Endowment. So whenever you hear endowment, that's like managing the investments. So they'll take cash, they'll buy stocks, they'll buy securities, and it'll just sit in this endowment fund. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure why Turning Point needs 4 of these. And then what caught my eye is I hope when I go and look at this, I don't see Charlie Kirk giving himself a salary in all 4. Because to me, he should be getting a salary in TPUSA, and in the other 3, it should be 0, because he's not logging any work hours. Turning Point Endowment, like I said, literally by their own words, manage the endowment. Charlie Kirk's not a financial advisor, last I checked. And what he ended up doing was, it seems like he wanted $1.6 million a year. So he divided it by 4, and then each of the nonprofits he gets
like
$400,000
or something.
Right. That and then same with Tyler Boyer. He would get maybe $300 on all 4. So that really caught my attention. I was like, wow, this seems like a real shady way to make their salaries appear less egregious. Let me give you an example, Didi.
Go check this out. Right here, it says its source of revenue is the main TPUSA nonprofit. So in 2023, TPUSA donated $8.6 million to America's Turning Point, right? So then, it's a sneaky way to be all, here you go, look, dude, we are donating this money. Now, in reality, though, guys, if they really wanted to be shady and hide this stuff, they wouldn't name it TPUSA this or Turning Point that. This is just kind of they know that people aren't going to get super deep into their finances, so they look at TPUSA's finances. They see that this is the whole point. Charlie's getting $400,000 from TPUSA. They're not going to look into all of the different, finances for all these different nonprofits. So it's really about optics more than anything. But that's not all that they were doing, as you're going to find out in a second, because they were doing some dirt here with Donald Trump Jr. I don't even know if you would even call it dirt. It's more of a thing where actually, let me show you what they were doing, and then I'll kind of explain what was really going on and what they were doing. Because it's not illegal what they were doing, but it was very clearly a way to squeeze money out of a situation that is supposed to be a nonprofit. I'll show you in a second.
If on TPUSA, Charlie Kirk's salary was $1.6 million, that would catch attention. Remember, because they were, quote, audited, an auditor would catch that. But if it's $400,000, that's a little more reasonable.
But why would people care if you split that up into 4, but it still shows up? Even if it don't show up as one big lump sum, you're still paying the same amount of taxes, correct?
No, they care, I'm saying, optically. Because no one's going to look at these other 3 nonprofits.
Okay.
So you get what I'm saying? If you're going to look at just Turning Point. because no one even knows these other 3 nonprofits exist. So this hides, like I said, optically, it makes it feel like, oh, Charlie's salary isn't that outrageous. It's $400,000. You know, that to me is the only reason why I could think of, because why would he need 4 salaries from 3 companies that he doesn't do anything for?
Right. And is there any, because I know some people may think about this, and I thought about this too. Is there not any legal loopholes that you're aware of where they're allowed to do this? Maybe it's suspicious, but it's not illegal.
Yeah, I would say it's probably not illegal, because you have to remember who writes the laws. These guys. The whole nonprofit system was developed by rich people for this reason, to circumvent taxes, to be able to sell stock without paying capital gains through their nonprofit, move dark money, money laundering. So yeah, if we're basing this on legality, in this example, I don't think Charlie Kirk broke any law, but very dishonest, because he's putting in 40 hours a week and he's working 120 hours a week. He has a radio show every day. Where are the hours in the day? He allegedly has 2 kids and a wife. Where, you start to look at it and you go, where are the hours to do all this?
Right.
And
Now,
that's a fair question.
Yeah, it is a fair question. And I want to say, would you say that from because this audit is from what years? As early as 2018?
A little bit of 2017, but yeah, I would say the real meat of it is like 2018 to 2023.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I remember now. I know what it means, but for those that may not understand what it means, explain to in layman terms, Brian, what is it that you mean when you say dark money?
So dark money, the way I think of it and the way I think most people is, it's a way to hide money. So for example, if I'm a donor, maybe I don't want people knowing I gave Turning Point $10 million. So through this nonprofit system, there's ways to circumvent these sort of laws that were put in place where you did need to be transparent about your donations. And one way that can be done, and we may get into that in a little bit, is the fundraising. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point used their own insiders to create LLC to manage these fundraiser payments. And now if I'm some rich donor,
So this is pretty shady. Watch this.
some rich donor, I don't want anyone to know, I can give that LLC the 10 million and it's never going to come up. It's just going to show, the gross total. It's not going to be a line item where we can see who gave that 10 million. So that's dark money. Dark money is just a way to hide my donation. I think another really interesting thing that jumped out to me was the relationship between Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump Jr., and a guy named Sergio Gore, who's high up in the Trump administration. So to me, again, technically, maybe this is illegal, maybe it's not. But this is pretty insane. If you're someone who's donated to a Turning Point and now you see where your money just went. Trump Jr. started a publishing arm called Winning Team Publishing. And just in 2022 alone, Turning Point gave almost $500,000 to them. For what reason? They're a publisher, right? They publish books. Oddly enough, Charlie Kirk's book was published by them. So this is the reverse of what happens, right? A publisher usually pays you in advance when you write a book, but instead Charlie Kirk is paying them. And it just keeps going. Then the next year he gives another 164,000, 333,000. And these are monster numbers of 640,000, like almost $1 million goes to Sergio Gore and Donald Trump Jr. And the reason why, and I'm only speculating, but I heard this from people at events, Trump Jr. couldn't sell his book. So what I'm guessing happened is Turning Point.
Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk case. Is the story surrounding Tyler Robinson complete, or are there missing pieces? Let's dive into today's investigation. When a public figure falls in broad daylight, people expect answers. Clear ones, honest ones. Answers that restore trust and calm the storm. But with the Charlie Kirk case, that calm never came. Not for the public, not for the family, and certainly not for anyone who dared to look deeper. Today, a confidential audit connected to TPUSA has surfaced. Please, before we continue, never forget to drop your contribution. Please drop your comment as you listening to this new updates. We would definitely respond to all comment. We will be glad to hear your feedbacks on this report. Not an explosive document, not a conspiracy theory, but a quiet internal review that asks one painful question. How did every safeguard fail at the same time? And that question is where everything begins to shift. What do you think? Is the case moving forward carefully? Or is progress being slowed by procedural delays? Share your thoughts in the comments below. That's where we hear your thought, because we will definitely respond to all comment. And also, make sure you comment where you're watching from. To stay updated on every development, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and also don't hesitate to support this movement so you stay informed as new update becomes available. This is Detective Max, and together we fight for justice. People remember the shock, the confusion, the suddenness of it all. Yet what most people don't know is that the audit wasn't created to accuse anyone. It was created because the people closest to the situation could no longer ignore the gaps. Tiny gaps, invisible gaps, but gaps that matter when a man loses his life, and thousands lose their sense of safety. It didn't point fingers. It didn't name enemies. It simply listed failures. Communication delays, conflicting reports, mismatched statements, security that reacted seconds too late, and a timeline that still doesn't fully line up. Nothing criminal, nothing dramatic, but everything heartbreaking. Because when a tragedy happens, every second matters. And this audit quietly admits that too many seconds were lost. One detail stood out, hidden almost like someone hoped nobody would ever read that far. A notation. Simple, short. Only 4 words. Multiple devices recovered on site. Not suspicious by themselves. Not illegal. Not unusual for a large event. But investigators couldn't ignore the question. Why did it take so long for this to be addressed publicly? And why did it feel minimized? The audit didn't accuse, but it reminded everyone of what was ignored for too long. There was a moment, just a moment, where security hesitated. And that hesitation is something neither the audit nor the investigators could explain away. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't malicious, but it was real. And sometimes the difference between safety and tragedy is a single heartbeat. The audit shows that multiple warnings and small inconsistencies had been documented weeks before the event. Nothing severe, nothing that would predict a tragedy. But enough that, in hindsight, everyone wishes they took more seriously. And that's where the guilt settles in. Because it wasn't one person, it wasn't one mistake. It was many small things, ignored by many people at the exact wrong time. There's a silence around the case that feels heavy, not because people are hiding something dark, but because too many are afraid of being blamed. But silence does its own damage. Silence slows justice. Silence steals closure. And silence creates suspicion where there should only be truth. Families deserve truth. Communities deserve clarity, and a man who impacted millions deserves a timeline that finally makes sense. The audit ends with one chilling sentence. These oversights must never happen again. No drama, no accusations. Just a stark reminder that prevention failed, and a wake-up call that accountability, real accountability, starts with honesty. This isn't about politics. It's not about sides. This is about a human life, and the system's meant to protect it. People move on quickly. News cycles rotate, memories fade, but the truth doesn't fade. It waits, quietly, patiently, for someone brave enough to pick it up. Today, that truth has finally surfaced, not through outrage, not through rumor, but through a simple internal audit that dared to say, we failed him, and we must do better. And now, the question shifts from what happened to who will finally take responsibility. Because someone has to, and the silence, it's been loud long enough.